I'll go first with Mr. Hoekstra, and then with Ms. Miller, and then we'll continue with the others. 5 minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's good to be here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's good to be here, and I'm glad you're having the hearing. Let me, I'll submit my statement for the record, and let me...
Without objection, all statements from all members will be printed in the record.
Let me just summarize the points that I would like to make today. Clearly, the automobile industry is critical to the U.S. It's critical to Michigan. That's not up for the debate. Critically, or also essential, if the big three receive taxpayer-funded infusions of cash, I believe all the rules change. And I'll explain that as I go through my statement. But I think that as a committee and as a Congress, we need to consider a wide range of alternatives as we take a look at how to get the automobile industry healthy again. The first thing that I think we need to do is we need to take a look at the federal and the state level to provide incentives so that the consumer can be the driving force behind getting a healthy industry. Drive demand. At the federal level, I think we should consider a tax credit for new car purchases. At the state level, I think we should take a look at, the state policies. Michigan has an illogical sales tax. When someone in Michigan buys a new car, they pay a sales tax on the full purchase price of the car. The state, Michigan, should take the lead. We should only charge sales tax on the differential, the difference between the purchase price of a new car and the trade-in value. So I think the states and the federal government need to take a look at how we can drive demand for new car purchases to help to get the big three moving. The second thing that I think we need to do is we need to take a look at some of the federal policies that have or will be implemented or are being considered being implemented. The first is we've provided this $25 billion for the industry to retool itself to move towards new CAFE standards. In this economic downturn, is it appropriate for us to consider delaying the implementation of CAFE standards for a period of 3 to 5 years and use those dollars for other things, or recognizing that that provides significant savings to the automobile industry and that might be preferential to an infusion of taxpayer dollars into the auto fleet? The second thing that we ought to consider is there's been a lot of discussion about whether there will be state standards for CAFE or emissions. Should Congress reassure the big three that we are going to have a consistent national standard for safety standards, for CAFE standards, and emission standards, so that they don't have to worry about the complexity or the confusion that they would be under if states started implementing various standards for them to meet, for them to sell their cars in their states. A third point is, if the committee and Congress finds itself moving down the path of providing taxpayer assistance, the rules do change. These companies, the workers, employees, and management are now accountable to the shareholders. We have a fiduciary responsibility to protect the interest of the taxpayer. Yes, these companies and these employees now are accountable to Joe the plumber and others. You know, in my district, the average manufacturing salary across the country is $31 an hour, including fringes. For the transplant companies, it's $48 an hour. For workers in the big three, it's $73 per hour. Should manufacturing workers who are making $31 an hour, $48 an hour, should their taxpayer dollars be used to provide assistance to blue-collar and white-collar workers who are maybe making significantly more than what they are? These are struggling industries. I've got a lot of these suppliers in my district. There needs to be an element of fairness and sacrifice as we go through this process. Mr. Chairman, I'm glad to see that in, I think, some of the legislation that you've brought forward, you've strengthened the requirements on CEO pay and capping CEO pay. Because what we've seen in the financial bailout package, you know, when the company set aside $40 billion for bonuses, we've done something wrong. And, Mr. Chairman, of an interest to yourself and myself, let me raise one final point. Federal prison industries. Federal prison industry, how does that fit with the automobile industry? Federal prison industries is an $800 million business, rapidly growing to be a $1 billion business. They make $150 million of automobile components, and they make over $100 million of office furniture. These are industries that are struggling. They should at least have the opportunity to compete for that business. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The gentlewoman from Michigan, Ms. Miller.